All right, get ready, because today we're diving deep into something you've probably heard a lot about lately.
Yeah.
Leaky gut syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's talking about it, and we want to figure out what's real, what's not.
Exactly.
So we've got a ton of medical articles
Okay.
and popular health websites right here,
Sounds good.
ready to break it all down.
All right. Well, right away,
Yeah.
leaky gut syndrome. It's interesting because it's not...
It's not like an official thing.
Yeah, it's not a formally recognized medical diagnosis.
Right.
It's really more of a concept.
Oh, so we're starting out already in kind of like a gray area?
It's a gray area in the medical world.
Okay.
But even though it's not like an official diagnosis, the idea of leaky gut is all about intestinal permeability.
Okay.
And that is a real physiological process.
Okay. Intestinal permeability.
Yeah.
That's simple.
It's a mouthful.
Very technical.
Yeah. So think of it this way. The lining of your gut.
Okay.
Like a border. With these checkpoints, controlling what goes in and out.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. And these checkpoints, they're called tight junctions.
Okay.
They're formed by proteins that link the cells in your intestines.
Gotcha.
So some things are allowed to pass through, like nutrients from your food.
Okay.
But larger molecules and harmful substances are meant to be kept out.
So leaky gut is basically saying that border control isn't doing its job.
Exactly. It's not working as it should.
Okay. So things are getting through that shouldn't be getting through.
That's the basic idea.
Gotcha.
The theory is that when these tight junctions become looser,
Mm-hmm.
it allows substances to leak into your bloodstream that normally wouldn't.
Okay, so what causes those to become leaky?
Some causes are very well established
Okay.
and agreed upon by the medical community.
So these are things we know for sure.
Yes, like alcohol, for example, can irritate the gut lining.
Okay.
Certain medications like aspirin and NSAIDs can too. Then there are conditions like Crohn's disease and celiac disease, and treatments like chemotherapy and radiation that can disrupt that gut barrier.
So some of these are temporary, like, if you just take NSAIDs for a little bit.
Exactly.
But some of them are much more serious and chronic.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But the leaky gut proponents,
Yeah, I bet they have a much broader view.
they do. They suggest that a wider range of factors can lead to increased intestinal permeability.
Okay, like what kind of things?
Well, things like an overgrowth of yeast or bacteria in the gut,
Okay.
a poor diet that's heavy in processed foods,
Mm-hmm.
overuse of antibiotics,
Okay.
even chronic stress.
So they're linking leaky gut to like everyday lifestyle things.
Exactly.
Okay, so then what happens if all this stuff is getting into our bloodstream?
Well, according to the leaky gut hypothesis,
Okay.
these foreign invaders,
Like undigested food.
undigested food particles, bacterial toxins,
Okay.
all this stuff that should normally stay in the digestive tract, they trigger an immune response.
Okay.
Your body sees them as threats and it attacks.
So it causes inflammation.
Exactly.
And we hear inflammation all the time.
Right.
As like the root of all evil.
Yeah, it's linked to so many health problems.
Right. So
So the leaky gut proponents...
they're saying this inflammation can cause a bunch of other issues.
Yes, whole cascade of issues.
Like what?
Well, things like digestive issues, bloating gas, irritable bowel syndrome,
Okay.
skin problems like eczema, acne,
Oh.
autoimmune disorders like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis,
Oh, wow.
even neurological conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome
Mm-hmm.
and autism.
So they're saying that leaky gut is the root cause of...
Well, not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
It's more that it can be a contributing factor.
Oh, but...
It creates an environment where these conditions are more likely to develop
Gotcha.
or worsen.
Okay, so it's not necessarily like a direct
Right.
cause and effect.
It's not a simple cause and effect.
But it can play a role.
Yes, it can play a role in a complex web of factors.
But I gotta say, some of these claims are
Yeah.
pretty out there.
I'm pretty far-reaching.
So what does the science actually say?
That's the key question.
What?
And it's where things get a bit more complicated.
Oh, boy.
So the concept of increased intestinal permeability,
Mm-hmm.
that's well established.
Okay.
But the evidence directly linking leaky gut to all these conditions, it's still pretty weak.
So it's more of a mystery than a
It's a medical mystery.
solved case.
Exactly.
Oh.
There were some interesting studies
Okay.
and a lot of anecdotal evidence,
Mm-hmm.
but we need a lot more research to really understand leaky gut
Okay.
and its impact on our health.
Gotcha.
For example, there are some studies showing that people with certain autoimmune disorders
Okay.
tend to have higher intestinal permeability.
Okay.
But It's not clear if the leaky gut is a cause or a consequence of the disease.
So it's kind of like a...
It's a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
We don't know what came first.
Right.
And that's one of the big challenges in studying leaky gut.
Okay.
Trying to figure out
What came first?
what came first, the cause and effect.
Okay.
And understanding all the complex factors involved.
So if somebody's concerned about their gut,
Mm-hmm.
what are some things that would make them think?
Right. What symptoms?
Yeah,
That's a tricky one
I bet.
because the symptoms of leaky gut are often very general.
Okay.
They can overlap with a lot of other conditions.
So like the classic bloating gas.
Exactly. Bloating, gas, indigestion, all that stuff that could signal a whole bunch of different digestive issues.
Right.
But leaky gut proponents,
Yeah.
they link a wider range of symptoms to this.
Okay.
Things like fatigue, headaches, brain fog, joint pain, skin rashes, mood swings, even food sensitivities.
So basically anything could be a sign of leaky gut.
Well, in theory, yes.
Okay.
But that's one of the reasons this whole concept is so controversial.
Okay.
It's hard to pinpoint leaky gut based on symptoms alone.
Right, because it could be a lot of other things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These symptoms could be caused by a ton of other factors.
So how would someone get a diagnosis?
So
Is there a test?
there's no one single test for leaky gut.
Oh, great.
Doctors typically take a more holistic approach.
Yeah, okay.
They consider your medical history, your symptoms,
Yeah.
results of various tests.
So they're playing detective,
Very much so.
trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, they might start by ruling out other conditions
Okay.
like celiac disease, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome.
Okay, so they rule those out first.
Yes, those have established diagnostic criteria.
Okay.
So it's a process of elimination before they even start thinking about leaky gut.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we've gone from the microscopic
I know, right?
to like this whole complex web of
It's a lot.
symptoms and diagnosis.
It's a deep dive.
It is a deep dive.
It's a real puzzle
Yeah.
for patients and practitioners.
But let's say somebody thinks they have leaky gut.
Okay.
What can they do about it?
That's a great question, and that's what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
But for now, the key takeaway is this.
Okay.
Even though leaky gut isn't a formally recognized diagnosis,
Right.
there's a lot you can do to support your gut health in general,
Okay.
regardless of whether you think leaky gut is a factor or not.
So focusing on a healthy lifestyle
Exactly.
is a good place to start,
Exactly.
no matter what.
No matter what.
So stay tuned.
Yes.
Because in the next part, we're going to talk about all those strategies
Okay.
to promote gut health
Sounds good.
and the evidence behind them.
Awesome.
So we know leaky gut is kind of a mystery still,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean we can't do anything
Right.
about our gut health.
Exactly.
And I'm seeing a lot here about the gut microbiome. What's
Mhm.
the connection between?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
It brings us right to the heart of this whole thing.
Okay.
Our gut, it's home to trillions of bacteria, fungi, viruses,
Oh,
a
wow.
whole world.
So it's like an ecosystem.
It's an ecosystem. We call it the gut microbiome.
Okay.
And this microbiome,
Mm-hmm.
it plays a huge role in keeping that intestinal barrier healthy.
So a healthy microbiome means a healthy gut border.
You got it when your gut microbiome is balanced
Okay.
with lots of different good bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
It helps those tight junctions work, right?
Oh, so they're like a well-trained border patrol.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
know who to let in and who to keep out.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So what happens when it's not balanced?
Well, that's when things can get a little leaky.
Okay.
Imbalances in the gut microbiome.
Mm-hmm.
We call that dysbiosis.
Dysbiosis.
Yeah, it can lead to inflammation
Okay.
and damage to the intestinal lining,
Mm-hmm.
and that can make it more permeable.
So things like poor diet, antibiotics, stress
That's exactly.
could mess with that microbiome
Yes, they can disrupt the balance.
and cause leaky gut.
It's all connected.
So what we eat can really affect this tiny world.
It really can.
Yeah.
And the more we learn about the microbiome, the more we realize how important it is.
For everything.
Yeah, it's not just digestion.
Okay.
It affects our immune system, our metabolism, even our brain.
Oh, the brain.
Yeah.
That's that whole gut-brain axis thing.
Exactly. There's definitely a connection.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
It's one of the most exciting areas of research.
Is it really?
Yeah, because the gut and the brain,
Mm-hmm.
they're in constant communication
Okay.
through this network of nerves, hormones, immune cells.
So my gut's talking to my brain.
In a way, yes.
Wow.
And the gut microbiome, it's a key part of this communication.
So how does that work?
For example, some gut bacteria,
Yeah.
they produce neurotransmitters.
Oh, like what?
like serotonin and dopamine.
Wait, I thought those were made in the brain.
That's what we used to think.
Huh.
But now we know a lot of them are actually made in the gut.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so wild.
And that's why researchers are looking at the role of the gut microbiome in things like anxiety and depression.
So you're saying that, like, if my gut bacteria are out of whack, I could be more anxious.
It's possible. Some studies are suggesting
Right.
that, of course, it's complex and we still have a lot to learn.
Right.
But there's more and more evidence that the gut microbiome can affect the brain.
And the brain affects the gut.
Exactly. It's a two-way street.
So, like, if I'm stressed
Yeah.
and I drink a ton of coffee, that's probably not helping my gut.
Probably not.
Mm.
It's really all about a holistic approach.
Okay.
What we eat, how we manage stress, the quality of our sleep, it all affects the balance of our gut microbiome
And our health.
and our overall health.
So is it enough to just, like, take a probiotic?
Well, probiotics can be helpful,
Okay.
but they're not a magic solution.
Right.
It's about creating an environment where those good bacteria can thrive.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, first of all, it's about what you eat.
Food.
Yes, a diet that's rich in fiber
Okay.
from fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes. That's what feeds the good bacteria in your gut.
So we're fertilizing our inner garden.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
What about fermented foods?
Fermented foods are great.
Okay.
They're full of probiotics.
Like what kinds?
Yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi.
Oh, I love kimchi.
Yeah, they're all packed with those live beneficial bacteria.
So we're feeding the good bacteria we have and adding new ones.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so what should we avoid?
Processed foods, sugary drinks, too much red meat.
Okay.
Those can disrupt the balance of your gut microbiome.
So basically a balanced whole foods diet.
Pretty much.
What about stress?
Stress is a big one.
Yeah, we talked about that gut-brain connection.
Right, when you're stressed, your brain releases hormones like cortisol,
Okay.
and that can mess with your gut.
In what way?
It can change how your gut moves, increase inflammation, even affect the microbiome itself.
So stress really can cause stomach problems.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, when your gut is healthy
Yeah.
and your microbiome is balanced, it can actually help you manage stress better.
So it goes both ways.
It's a positive feedback loop.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So things like exercise, yoga, meditation
All of that can help.
can help my gut.
Yes. And don't forget about sleep.
Sleep.
When you don't get enough sleep,
Yeah.
it throws off your hormones and can cause inflammation.
Not good.
And that can impact your gut microbiome.
Wow. It's all connected.
It really is.
So good sleep, managing stress, eating lots of fiber fermented foods. It sounds like a lot.
It's all about making those healthy choices a part of your routine.
Right. But what about people who are really having gut problems? Are there other things they can try?
There are, but it's important to talk to a doctor about it. Some supplements that people use for gut health include L-glutamine, which helps repair the gut lining, and zinc, which is important for immune function.
What about herbal things?
There are a lot of herbs that people use for digestion. Ginger, peppermint, chamomile, fennel. They all have soothing properties. But again, talk to your doctor or an herbalist before trying anything new.
Right. Don't just self-treat
Exactly.
based on what you read online.
It's always best to get personalized advice.
So there's a lot we can do
There is,
for our gut health.
yeah, simple lifestyle changes or more targeted approaches.
But it's all about...
That's all about being informed
Yeah.
and working with a healthcare professional.
Right. To find what works for you.
Exactly. Everyone's different.
Okay. So it's a journey.
It is a journey of self-discovery,
Yeah.
paying attention to your body, and making adjustments as you go.
That's where it gets interesting.
There's so many different things to explore.
Okay. Well, let's explore some more.
Okay.
In the next part, we'll talk about specific things
Sounds good.
people can do, dietary changes, supplements, and more.
Awesome. I'm ready.
All right. So we've talked all about leaky gut syndrome.
We have. So now let's get practical.
Okay.
What can people actually do
Right.
to help their gut?
Yeah. That's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
And the good news is you can do a lot.
Okay.
Even if we don't know everything about leaky gut.
So it's less about figuring out if it's leaky gut
Right.
and more about just taking care of our gut.
Exactly. Giving your gut the best chance to thrive.
I like that.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
what are some of the best ways to support our gut?
Well, we've already talked about diet and how important it is.
Yeah.
And when it comes to gut health, fiber is king.
Fiber keeps things moving.
Well, yeah, that's part of it.
Okay.
But it's also food for the good bacteria in your gut. It
Oh.
helps them grow and multiply.
So the more fiber we eat,
Yeah.
the happier our gut bacteria.
That's a more diverse and stronger microbiome.
Okay, so what should we be eating?
Lots of fruits, vegetables,
Yeah.
whole grains, legumes.
Okay, all the plant-based stuff.
Yeah. And try to eat different colors and textures.
Oh, to get a variety.
Yeah. Exactly. You want a variety of nutrients and different kinds of fiber.
So it's not just about eating my broccoli.
No, it's about eating the rainbow.
I like that. What about fermented foods?
Those are great too.
Okay.
They introduce live beneficial bacteria.
Oh, like probiotics.
Yeah, things like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi. They're all full of probiotics.
Okay. But are all probiotics the same?
That's a good question.
Because there are so many different kinds.
It can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot we're learning about different strains and their benefits.
Okay.
It's best to talk to your doctor or a dietitian
Okay.
about whether a probiotic is right for you, and if so, which one to take.
So personalized advice is key.
Definitely.
Are there any downsides to probiotics?
For most people, they're safe.
Okay.
You might get some mild digestive issues like
Okay.
gas or bloating when you first start taking them.
Okay.
But it's important to remember they're not a cure-all.
Right.
They work best as part of a bigger picture. Yeah, like with a healthy diet and lifestyle.
Exactly.
Okay, well, speaking of lifestyle,
Yeah.
we talked about stress.
Right. Stress management is so important for gut health.
So what are some good ways to manage stress?
Well, there are a lot of different things you can try.
Okay.
Find what works for you.
Yeah.
Yoga, meditation, spending time in nature, listening to music,
Mm-hmm.
even just taking a few deep breaths throughout the day.
Yeah, just finding those moments of calm.
Exactly.
What about sleep?
Sleep is crucial.
I know when I don't get enough sleep,
Yeah.
I'm a mess.
Same here. And your gut isn't happy either.
So what happens when we don't sleep enough?
It messes with your hormones,
Okay.
increases inflammation,
Uh-oh.
and disrupts the balance of your microbiome.
So aim for
7 to 8 hours
of sleep.
of good sleep.
Okay, so good sleep managing stress,
Mhm.
eating lots of fiber,
Yes,
fermented foods.
it all adds up.
But what about people who are really struggling?
Okay.
Are there other things like supplements or herbs?
There are, but talk to your doctor first.
Always.
Some supplements people use for gut health are L-glutamine,
Okay.
which helps repair the gut lining,
Okay.
and zinc, which is good for your immune system.
What about herbal remedies?
A lot of people use herbs for digestion.
Okay.
Ginger, peppermint, chamomile, fennel.
Yeah.
They can all help soothe your stomach. But again, always talk to your doctor or an herbalist before trying anything new.
Okay, so don't just Google it and start taking a bunch of stuff.
It's always best to get personalized advice.
So it sounds like there's a lot we can do
There is.
for our gut health.
Yeah, from simple things
Mm-hmm.
to more targeted approaches.
But it's all about,
It's about being informed
yeah,
and working with a healthcare professional.
right, to figure out what works best.
Exactly. What works for one person might not work for another.
So it's about paying attention to our own bodies
Yes.
and figuring out what works for us.
Exactly.
Well, I think we've given everyone a lot to think about today.
I think so.
We've covered leaky gut syndrome, the gut microbiome,
Yes.
and all sorts of ways to improve our gut health.
Lots of strategies.
And remember, a healthy gut is a happy gut,
It is?
and a happy gut is a happy you.
Well said.
So until next time,
Yes.
happy deep diving.